Two historical events within the first decade of the 21st century in Kenya have redefined the civil society movement in ways few had predicted. The coming to power of the NARC government and the culmination of Kenya's 20-year struggle for a new constitution appear to have thrown the civil society into disarray. Now, former powerful voices of activism have either been neutralized in government service or are struggling to get into government. Kenya's new Chief Justice Dr. Willy Mutunga's was just the latest high-profile crossing over. Named among Kenya's fathers of the civil rights movement, he was the General Secretary of the vocal University Academic Staff Union in the late 1970s. Together with Kiraitu Murungi, Makau Mutua and Maina Kiai, they founded the Kenya Human Rights Commission in early 80s while in exile in Canada and the USA. He was also among those who spearheaded the National Constitutional Alliance and its executive wing called the National Conventional Executive Council, NCEC, a major mover in the search for a new constitution. And now, he has chosen to be part of the system.
Not ever having served within the corridors of justice, and your so-called activist background.
Activism in the judiciary is actually about supreme intelligence, especially where you have gray areas in the law, where your discretion is sought and you have to make a decision.
Kenya's first Deputy Chief Justice, Nancy Baraza, is also hailed for her work as a women's rights activist, being a founder member and former chairperson of the Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA Kenya. She now takes her activism into the corridors of justice.
Activism is an attribute, and it has taken us far. Now, attributes in the courts can also, activism in the courts can also be good.
Another women's rights activist, former nominated member of parliament and former member of the committee of experts, Njoki Ndungu Susanna, is also joining the establishment as judge of the Supreme Court. She is remembered for shepherding the sexual offences bill in 2006. Among the big names in the pro-democracy fight was Kiraitu Murungi, now part of the inner circle in Kibaki's government. A founder member of the Kenya Human Rights Commission while in exile, he was instrumental in its registration locally in 1994. He was part of the so-called Young Turks in the early 90s, alongside others like James Orengo, Gitobu Imanyara, Paul Muite, among others. Another powerful and eloquent voice in the fight for reform in the mid-90s was Professor Kivuta Kibwana. His name was almost synonymous with the National Convention Executive Council. Now he is the constitutional advisor to President Mwai Kibaki. And the former Baptist church preacher and secretary of the outspoken, powerful National Council of Churches of Kenya, Reverend Mutava Musimi, has become a near-conservative in parliament as a representative of Gachoka constituency. The civil society movement is now seen as a pale shadow of its former self.
Activism has been bastardized, but that is a very, very strong attribute. And if we had not engaged in activism in this country, none of us, including you, honorable members of parliament, would be where you are.
So far, the vetting bodies seem to be finding the former activists a safe bet for major appointments to new crucial state offices. The public desire for new faces and reformers in the new republic is drawing in the former civil society bulldogs. Otieno, KTN, behind the headlines.